Welcome to my channel. Subscribe and enjoy daily stories about cheating, revenge, and relationship advice. The hotel bar was dimly lit, casting a warm, golden glow over the polished wood and leather furniture. I leaned against the bar, swirling the ice in my scotch as I tried to drown out the noise of the business trip. My mind was a haze of spreadsheets and presentations, when Kevin, a fellow traveler I'd met on this trip, sauntered over with a familiar grin. "Hey, John," Kevin said, taking a seat next to me. His casual demeanor was at odds with the gravity of what he was about to reveal. "Hey, Kevin. Long week, huh?" I replied, trying to muster a smile. Kevin seemed hesitant. He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small, velvet-lined box. The box was a rich, deep blue, and its contents glimmered under the bar's low light. He placed it on the counter between us. "I wanted to show you something," Kevin said, his tone uncharacteristically serious. I raised an eyebrow. "Alright, what's up?" Kevin opened the box to reveal a delicate gold necklace with a ruby pendant. It was elegant, a piece I'd seen Sarah wear on a few occasions. The sight of it struck me like a punch to the gut. "That's a beautiful necklace," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "Who's the lucky recipient?" Kevin hesitated, glancing around the bar as if seeking an escape from the conversation. "It's for Sarah. I bought it for her." My heart skipped a beat. "Sarah. My wife. Sarah. As in my wife, Sarah." Kevin's face reddened. "I didn't want to be the one to tell you this, John. But yes, Sarah." I felt the room spin as I processed his words. "Are you saying you and Sarah have been?" "For about 2 years now," Kevin admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. "I should have told you sooner. I'm sorry." The shock was so overwhelming that I could barely find words. "Why? Why would you do this?" Kevin's eyes dropped to the floor. "It just happened. We didn't plan for it. I never wanted to hurt you. But I didn't want to keep this from you anymore." I took a deep breath, trying to regain my composure. "How long have you been planning to tell me?" "Honestly, I didn't know how," Kevin said, looking genuinely remorseful. "I was hoping it wouldn't come to this, but I couldn't live with the guilt any longer." The weight of his confession felt like a physical force, pressing down on me. I could feel my face growing pale. "So, what do I do now? I'm not sure I even know how to handle this." Kevin looked pained. "I understand if you need space. I just hope you can find a way to move forward." I nodded, unable to trust my voice. "Thanks for telling me, I guess." Kevin rose from his seat, his shoulders slumping slightly. "I'm really sorry, John. I hope you can find some peace." As he walked away, I stared at the necklace in the box. It was no longer a beautiful piece of jewelry but a symbol of betrayal. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my racing thoughts. This revelation had changed everything, and now I had to find a way to deal with the fallout. The drive home was a blur. My mind replayed Kevin's confession over and over, the image of that ruby necklace seared into my memory. Arriving at the house felt surreal, as though I was walking into a scene from someone else's life. The front door creaked open, and I was greeted by the familiar scent of home. Sarah's perfume mingled with the aroma of the evening meal she often prepared. I took a deep breath, steeling myself for the confrontation that wasn't yet ready to happen. Instead, I made my way to the master bedroom, where Sarah's jewelry chest sat in a corner, like a treasure trove of memories and secrets. I opened the chest slowly, dreading the sight that would confirm my worst fears. My fingers trembled as I lifted the lid. The familiar glint of gold and jewels greeted me, but my heart sank when I saw the empty space where the ruby necklace used to rest. The realization hit me like a cold wave. The necklace Kevin had shown me was now in Sarah's possession, along with the ruby ring she always wore. "Damn it," I muttered under my breath, my voice cracking slightly. The silence of the room seemed to mock me as I scanned the empty spots in the chest. A noise behind me made me turn. Sarah stood in the doorway, her expression a mix of surprise and concern. "John." You're home early. What's going on? I swallowed hard, struggling to maintain a calm exterior. I just came to check on something. I gestured vaguely to the jewelry chest, trying to sound nonchalant. I noticed that some of the jewelry is missing. Sarah's eyes widened, and she crossed the room quickly, her face paling as she saw the empty spaces. "Oh, I must have misplaced them," she said, though there was a hint of defensiveness in her tone. "I was planning to take them to be cleaned." I could barely contain my anger and hurt. "Misplaced? Sarah, you know how much those pieces meant to you. They didn't just disappear." Sarah's gaze dropped to the floor, and she took a deep breath. "Look, John, I didn't mean for this to happen. I was going to tell you, but I didn't know how." "Tell me what?" I asked, my voice tight with frustration. "That you've been having an affair with Kevin for 2 years. Because that's what I just found out." Sarah's face flushed with a mix of guilt and fear. "John, Save it," I interrupted, holding up a hand. "I don't want to hear excuses right now. I need time to process this." Sarah's eyes welled up with tears. "I'm so sorry. I never wanted to hurt you. It just happened, and I didn't know how to fix it." I felt a pang of pity mixed with my anger. "It's too late for apologies, Sarah. I'm going to handle this calmly, but don't think this doesn't change everything." I turned and walked towards the door, leaving Sarah standing in the middle of the room, her tears falling freely. The sight of her crying didn't ease my pain. If anything, it made it worse. I had to deal with this betrayal in the most measured way possible, and part of that meant avoiding a confrontation that would only add to the emotional turmoil. As I stepped outside, I took a deep breath, focusing on the immediate task at hand. The discovery was confirmed, and now it was time to plan my next steps with careful precision. The days following the discovery were a whirlwind of emotions and logistical nightmares. My focus had shifted from the shock of betrayal to the practicalities of ending a marriage. With the divorce papers signed and my future job relocation imminent, I wanted to leave things as tidy as possible. I sat in the small, cluttered office of our temporary rental, surrounded by moving boxes and stacks of paperwork. I was on the phone with Kevin, trying to maintain a veneer of normalcy. "Kevin, hey." "It's John," I said, my voice steady despite the turmoil within. "Hey, John," Kevin replied. "I hope everything's alright." "Well, not exactly," I said, trying to keep the conversation as casual as possible. "But I wanted to give you a heads up about the lawn tractor. It's been acting up lately, starting problems and all that. I figured you might want to check it out before I leave." There was a brief pause on the other end. Thanks for letting me know. I didn't realize there were any issues. I'll make sure to take a look." "I appreciate it," I said, keeping my tone polite. "Just wanted to make sure you're aware. I'd hate for you to run into trouble with it." "No problem," Kevin said, sounding relieved. "I'll get it sorted." We wrapped up the call with a few more pleasantries, and I hung up, a wry smile tugging at the corners of my lips. The irony wasn't lost on me. Kevin was completely unaware that my gesture was a final, subtle jab at the situation. While he was probably focusing on the trivial mechanics of the tractor, I was orchestrating the end of a chapter in my life. As the days passed, I prepared for the move. The weight of leaving behind everything familiar was heavy, but it was a necessary step towards reclaiming my sense of self. Packing up my old life felt both cathartic and melancholic. Each box packed was a step further from the pain. On the day of the move, my brother stopped by to help. We worked in silence for a while, the only sounds being the rustling of packing materials and the occasional thud of boxes being lifted. Eventually, I broke the silence. "Hey, I need a favor," I said, turning to him. "Sarah's jewelry. I want to make sure it gets returned to her, but I don't want to deal with it directly. Can you take it to her?" My brother looked up, sensing the gravity in my voice. "Sure, what's the plan?" "I'll leave the jewelry with you," I explained. "Once everything's finalized with the divorce, I'll contact Sarah and let her know she can collect it from you. It's a clean break." He nodded understandingly. Got it. I'll take care of it. You just focus on getting settled. The moving truck was packed and ready to go, and as I glanced around the now empty house, I felt a strange mixture of relief and sadness. Leaving was a fresh start, but it also meant leaving behind everything I once knew. As we drove away, I glanced back at the house one last time, knowing it would be the last I'd see of it for a long while. The irony of the situation wasn't lost on me. I was leaving behind not just a physical space but an entire chapter of my life, marked by betrayal and heartbreak. The dust had settled from the move, and Seattle had begun to feel like home. My new job was demanding but engaging, and the change of scenery provided a welcome distraction. But there was one final task I needed to address before I could fully put the past behind me: returning Sarah's jewelry. The divorce was finalized, and all that remained was to clear the last vestiges of my former life. I had instructed my brother to handle the return of the jewelry, and today was the day he would deliver it to Sarah. I wanted this final act to be handled with as much dignity as possible. I was in my new apartment, arranging books on a shelf, when my phone buzzed with a message from my brother. I checked it and saw he was en route to Sarah's house. I took a deep breath, feeling the familiar pang of sadness and relief mixed together. The doorbell rang, and I answered the call on speaker, eager to hear how things went. "Hey, John," my brother's voice came through, sounding slightly strained. "I just dropped off the jewelry with Sarah." She seemed surprised but took it without much fuss. "Good," I replied, trying to sound calm. "Did she say anything about the divorce or—" "Actually, she didn't say much," my brother interrupted. "She just thanked me and said she needed some time to process everything." "That's fair," I said. "This is hard for both of us. I'm just glad it's finally over." My brother's voice softened. "You did what you needed to do. It's a tough situation, but you handled it well." We exchanged a few more pleasantries before ending the call. I set my phone down and walked over to the window, looking out at the bustling city below. The skyline of Seattle was a symbol of new beginnings, and I was ready to embrace it fully. A week later, I received a letter from Sarah. I hadn't expected any communication, but curiosity got the better of me, and I opened it. "Dear John, I wanted to thank you for returning the jewelry. It meant a lot to me, even if it's a bittersweet reminder of what once was. I understand the need for closure, and I respect your decision to move on. I hope that in time, we can both find peace and healing. Wishing you all the best, Sarah." I read the letter twice, taking in the sincerity of her words. There was no mention of rekindling the past, just a mutual acknowledgement of what had happened. It was a fitting end to a painful chapter, and it confirmed that moving forward was the right choice. As I folded the letter and placed it in a drawer, I felt a sense of calm wash over me. The past was now truly behind me. Seattle was my fresh start, and I was ready to face whatever the future held, unburdened by the ghosts of my former life.